Please help us welcome our next guest here on Couch Conversations, two-time PDGA world champion of professional disc golf, of course, Ricky Wysocki. Ricky, thank you so much for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to be here, man. I'm excited to chat with you and share my side of the sport that I'm a professional at.
Awesome. My boy Chuck Pinnock, I have to give him a shout out. He reached out and said, man, when Ricky's in town, you have to have this guy on your podcast. He's like the Tom Brady of disc golf.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I'm glad he sparked the interest, and glad I can be here for this session and before the tournament, because the tournament starts Friday, and get some time in and shed some light on the disc golf world.
Awesome. So you're considered one of, if not the best disc golf player in the world. That's huge. That's awesome. How did you discover the sport, and at what point did you really realize, how good you could actually be at disc golf?
Yeah, it's crazy because when I was starting disc golf, I'm from Medina, Ohio, like 20, 30 minutes south of Cleveland, and I grew up there, and I just started playing at like a local park, and it was back then in like 2009, 2010 was when I first started. I was like 14, 15 years old, just a young kid, and disc golf really wasn't, where it is today. It was just kind of like an underground hippie sport, really not much money in it, not really a career path to be had. But, I still loved it. I just liked going to the local course, throwing discs, and it was a fun hobby just to kind of get outside and play. And so just like anything, I just had a passion for it, and I just kind of dove all in on disc golf. And I was I just played every day, practiced, and just really dedicated myself to getting better, and just kind of slowly worked my way up the ranks. I'd start to play local leagues, then I started playing tournaments throughout the state, then throughout the country, then I started going all over the world. Now I go all over the world. I've been to Japan playing majors, and Australia, Europe.
Wow.
So it's gone international. The sport is growing a lot, and I think the pandemic's helped a ton with this growth of our sport, because people want to be outside. They want to experience nature. They want to get exercise in, and you can do that all while you're on the disc golf course. So I think it's a great thing for everybody.
Yeah, that's great. So do you think it's kind of similar to other sports? Like it starts with the fundamentals, like you learn the fundamentals of the sport, and then the people that end up, like you at the top are just kind of like they naturally have the raw talent, but they work really hard behind it to perform well?
Yeah, definitely. I think that disc golf is no different. I mean, now that I'm a professional and top in my sport, you respect any sport because you know what it takes to get to that spot,
Right.
And so I respect, whether it's baseball, football, ping pong, darts, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is, that you have to dedicate your life to it, and you basically have the all-in mindset to just practice all the time, dedicate yourself, and just all the personality traits that you have to be able to be the best in the world. It's so. And so, yeah, for me, I love, talking to other people in other sports that, get their mindset on it. But yeah, disc golf's no different than any of those other sports. And for me, I've always been that all-in personality. And I started off with baseball. I used to play baseball.
Okay.
And just a conventional all-American kid with my dad, was like, oh, you're going to play baseball through high school and then go to college.
You had to be a pitcher, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say, you got the build for it.
Yeah, exactly. So I used to pitch, and then that kind of transferred into disc golf. The motion's kind of similar.
Okay.
Pitching's kind of more over the top.
Right.
And then, disc golf, they have the backhand throw and then the sidearm throw. So it's definitely very comparable to baseball.
Okay. And I imagine you have to do like crazy exercises, ice, heat, and all that stuff with your arm?
Yeah, no, I definitely do. So I'm always stretching. Work out a lot in the off season mostly, and mostly during the season it's stretching and just keeping my everything stable and all my muscles fired up and ready to throw hard. So I'm doing a lot of ice baths after I'm done practicing during practice rounds.
Okay.
Doing that, I do a lot of saunas. That helps recovery, and obviously eat really really clean. Take lots of supplements and just take care of my body. When you're at the top of a sport, your body is your moneymaker. If you're not playing or competing, you're not able to really do what you do best. So I have to treat my body well, and that allows me to play and perform at the highest level. So. I think people are really taking note of what the top players in our sport are doing to compete, and the money that's there. I mean, there's starting to be big money contracts, and so I think that's kind of getting attention of people and really saying, hey, I want my kids to play disc golf now, as opposed to 10, 15 years ago, it was kind of known as a hippie sport. So kind of starting to break out of that stereotype and really working our way into like, yeah, this is a real sport, and you really have to be an athlete to play it.
So you kind of covered my next question of like, the growth of the sport and kind of where it was and where it's at now. Well, where do you see it in 10 years from now? Because like you say, big money contracts are coming into the sport, which is, I would imagine, newer than, your typical baseball, football, basketball.
Yeah, so the contracts are definitely getting a lot bigger. I think the last, Paul Macbeth, he was previously the number one player in the world 2 or 3 years ago. He signed a 10-year, $10 million contract, which
Wow.
was, for disc golf was huge. And then this year I just signed a 4-year, $4 million contract. So there's I'm sure that, future generations are going to get more and more money. So there's definitely motivation with money, but I mean, for me, it's just a passion for it. I love playing the game, and it's something that, I played for so long without, getting really the money, so to say. And now, the passion just turned into something to where the sport grew enough to where I can capitalize on the money side. So that's of course great. But it all just boils back to the practice and dedication I had when I was younger, and, putting the time and effort in to getting as good as I am.
Do you think this is something that you could do for another 20 years as a pro athlete? Because it's much different than, getting hit by someone in a football uniform every day.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah, football is super violent and, physically violent. But disc golf is actually a lot more violent, and there's a lot more injuries than you would think.
Wow.
It's more of like a pitcher. A pitcher is, they're not necessarily getting hit, but they're constantly throwing as hard as they possibly can. They're blowing out shoulders, they're blowing out their elbows, they're blowing out every body part just takes a toll. And so disc golf's a lot like that. You're not physically getting hit by another person, but you're really pushing your body to the limits. Your hips are rotating really violently to get that, throw as far as you can. Your arms coming through, your elbows. So there's so many body joints that take a toll that you can definitely blow out joints. And, if as soon as you start doing that, your body breaks down. Obviously, you're not going to be able to perform. So, but disc golf, I think the average is like 38 to 40 is where you start really falling off.
Okay.
So it's not quite like some golfers are playing until they're 50, so it's not quite that. I mean, you can if you really take care of your body, but for the most part, it's probably 38 to 40 is really where the, so I'm 29, so I've got another, I would say,
you got
8 to 10 more good years, yeah. And so, I'm pumped about that I'm, put myself in this spot, and I can kind of be the face for the sport. And I'm super thankful that I can, be that and, get people involved in the game that obviously I love and, have been able to make a career and a real good life out of it.
What would be your advice to, kids or even adults wanting to get into the sport competitively?
Yeah, no, I think that disc golf has grown a lot. I mean, and I think a lot of the schools are starting. I actually have a foundation, WysockiBombFoundation.org, if you want to check it out, for the followers that are involved in schools. And really, it's just a foundation for me that I'm actually just giving back to schools, and I'm donating
That's awesome.
50 discs in a basket to a lot of the schools that are, as many schools as I can, that go onto the website and actually file for basically the package that we give away. Like I said, 50 discs in a basket. And we'll send you the discs and everything. And all we ask in return is just to send some social media, so we can post it on our socials and let everybody know what we're doing.
So you're like creating the little league golf disc golf leagues. That's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, just get the next generation involved. Whether it's elementary, middle school, whatever it is, and just it's called the First Putt Initiative, and it's gonna give these kids their first disc golf putt. Because we're supplying them with their first disc and their first basket. So it's the Wysocki Bomb Foundation. That's what it's called. And so, yeah, that's something I'm passionate about, to really getting the next generation involved in the game. And even if it's not that, if you're just, a person in a local town that, wants an extra hobby and you want to go to the local, park, you can go to UDisc is actually a cool course breakdown where it actually has all the courses close to you. So it's called UDisc.
Okay.
Just go to UDisc in the App Store or whatever, and you can just type in, courses near me, and it'll pop up all the courses. You can go there and for free. I mean, you can order discs online or whatever you want to do to get the discs. Sometimes Play It Again Sports has them.
Okay.
So however you want to get the discs, you just buy a couple discs. Ask your buddy to, hey, let's go to the local park and throw some discs around and see if you like it. You'd be surprised at how many people throw a disc, and it's just fun to watch it fly. It's something about watching a disc soar through the air when you throw it really well is really satisfying. And so I think that's, something that you have to at least experience one time in your life. And if you experience it once, you're going to want to keep coming back, because it's just fun to, when your body works together and you really get that perfect throw, it's like I said, it's no feeling like it.
Yeah. I was a cross country runner back in the day, so that's how I felt like when I was shaving off time from every race
You get in
and
that
just
groove.
beating
Yeah.
your body. Like it just made you feel so good.
For sure. Yeah, no, it definitely seems like something that's kind of comparable to that for sure. Getting in that groove, you know.
Oh yeah. So you're traveling, the country, state to state, playing at course to course. What's the van life been like for you? I've seen the van that you pulled up in. It looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, so I obviously got the sponsors on the outside of the van with my new contract. I wanted to put their logos and stuff on my van, and so I'm traveling with the van, and I got a trailer as well. I have a bunch of discs in there and a lot of storage stuff because I like to run demonstrations and clinics at local courses. So I'll post on my social media and say, hey, I'm going to the local course from 5 to 6. I'm doing a driving clinic or a whatever clinic, and then I'll get people out there, sell discs, and then share my knowledge of disc golf with the local community. So I'll do that a lot, which is cool, and it's cool just to help people out and give them an hour lesson and sharing all the knowledge that I've gained throughout my 12 years playing the game and about 12 years professionally, I would say, and so yeah, it's been that part. The van helps me be able to carry more inventory and have more discs available to grow the game, and that's so that's kind of, and it's more comfortable. Like you said, we're driving, and I could fly to all the tournaments and stuff, but it's more convenient to have all my discs, have all my stuff with me in the van, and
Right.
be able to drive. So it's just more convenient to do that.
Okay. So you're about to play the LWS Open at Idlewild, right down the road here in Burlington, Kentucky. What's that course like in comparison to other courses throughout the country?
It's tough. Yeah, the Idlewild course is very, very challenging. The city keeps it up really well, and the local club has really put in a lot of work to get the course in tip-top shape for the tournament. And so the players are excited to go out and attack. It's I would say one of the harder courses on tour that we play for sure.
Wow.
It's in the woods, a lot of challenging shots, and a lot of tough par 4s, par 5s in the woods. And so yeah, it's just a good skills test all your skills as a top player in the sport, and so it's a great venue, and fans are great. They have tickets available, and anybody can go out, and if you want to go play it when we're not here in town for the tournament to test your skills and see
Right.
how your scores line up against us, feel free to do that. But yeah, you can also obviously go to discgolfprotour.com to go check out tickets.
I've played there a couple times, and that's when I learned that I would never be a pro disc golf player.
It's tough. It can kill your confidence quick.
It's all about the release too, right? Some people they release it this way instead of, you know what I mean? It comes out of your hands and it goes flying this way instead of straight.
Yeah. So disc golf, I like to tell people your wrist and your arm is like the club. So if your club face is open and you're swinging, your ball's going to go wherever your club face tells it, right? So disc golf's the same way. If you release with your wrist down, your disc's going to go out and turn left. If you turn your wrist over like this and you throw like that on your way through, it's going to go out and turn right. So,
and that's what you do to get at the hook.
Yeah, you can actually play those. Obviously the better you get, you can manipulate your body. There's obviously so many different variables to it. But the way you contort your body, the way you contort your arm, your wrist, all the different variables, and that's what makes us top players so good is we can do that on command. We can throw it left to right, we can throw it straight, we can throw it right to left, left to right, all the different shot shapes you need.
So you're essentially self-taught? You just picked it up one day and was like, man, I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah, pretty much. I just practiced, all the shots. I think that was the most important thing. I practiced sidearm a lot. I practiced backhand. I practiced putting a lot. I didn't really, sacrifice any part of my game. I just focused on all parts. And so for me, I was just, it was the kind of beginning stages of the players at that generation were starting to post videos on YouTube on form critiques and stuff. So I was watching a little bit of that, but for the most part, I would just go to the course, sun up to sundown, play all day long. And I did that for 2 years. The first 2 years I played, and I just really got really good doing that. And that kind of formulated my game to where it is now.
Okay. So, like I said, we're in Cincinnati, northern Kentucky area. You just got the opportunity to throw out the first pitch at the Cincinnati Reds game, that's pretty cool, man. What was that experience like for you? Did you get to interact with any of the players?
Yeah, that was really cool. I know that. I went down into the tunnel and got to go walk on the field and have a buddy of mine he runs LWS, who sponsors the Idlewild Open, the tournament this weekend. He got to catch the first pitch, and I got to throw it, and threw a strike, so that was cool.
There you go.
But yeah, that was an amazing experience. I'll never forget that. Just to be able to go out there and see the field and just kind of get that soak it all in. There was a lot of disc golfers there too, so I posted on socials and there was a lot of disc golfers that wanted to go support me and go watch the first pitch out there. And so yeah, I had a lot of disc golfers come up to me like, hey, can I get I had a couple discs I was handing out and passing them to fans and stuff.
That's cool.
And they were like, oh, that's so cool that we got to watch you throughout the first pitch. And so yeah, it was just cool to grow the game. Obviously I'm out there and I'm glad I could be out there doing it, but it was I felt like I was representing the sport of disc golf as a whole.
And it brought back the pitching days.
Yeah, exactly. Brought back the pitching days. I was able to throw a heater down the middle and throw a strike. Yeah, and the Reds got a win, so it was a win-win-win.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So, like you mentioned, you signed a $4 million deal with Dynamic Disc. What was that feeling like? That had to be incredible to sign such a large, contract after, so many years of playing the sport.
Yeah, I know. When I first started, there was really not. I mean, that kind of money just wasn't a thing. And so the more the sport grew and the more our brands grew as players, we were able to really, the companies really started seeing the value of the players and our brand and our influence, all the other stuff. I mean, yeah, disc golf's a smaller sport compared to like all the, baseball, football, all that. But, the big brands like LeBron James and all that stuff, like, he has shoes and all this stuff and people buy it because, LeBron's supporting it. Like that whole, brand presence, is definitely the same in disc golf, obviously on a smaller scale, but there's still a value there. It's maybe not 200, whatever these 200, $300 million, but it's on a smaller scale to where, there's, we influence people. We throw, our discs and we throw good shots with them and
Right.
people want to, throw what we throw, so that is definitely a variable that, is really starting to come about in the sport. And when I was younger, the best players in the world, they were just like weekend warriors. They would go out, they would have a 9-to-5 job during the week and then go out on the weekends and play a tournament. And so, it wasn't really like they were professionals, so to say. They didn't really dedicate their life to it. They just did, what they had fun doing and made, a couple $100 here and there. But now it's like there's some real money. And even when you're done, there's, a lot of players when they're done in retiring in the sport, if you build up your name enough, you can go represent your name to like local cities and say, hey, I'm a 2-time world champion, and design a course using your brand and say, hey, this is a Ricky Wysocki design course. And it, people were like, oh, I know Ricky, he's a great player, and like you go to like, Jack Nicklaus course, like in golf, or, obviously Tiger Woods, if he designed a course, he has a huge brand and people are like, oh, I want to play the Tiger Woods course if it's in Kentucky or wherever it's at. So that kind of effect is, is definitely a thing with disc golf, and there's enough players and people following the sport now to where, they're going to be influenced by what I do. And, I'm definitely thankful for that. And
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So what's the website that they can get the Ricky Wysocki Dynamic Disc from?
So if you just go to dynamicdisc.com and type in Ricky Wysocki, I have my full line of discs. I've got a driver, mid-range putters.
I picked one up.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Let's talk about this one right here.
Oh, heck yeah. That's cool. So yeah, this is one that Dynamic Discs made, and it was like like since I won the Texas State Championships for the 6th time. So I'm a 6-time Texas State champion in this tournament, and I won it this year, and that was the commemorative disc that they made. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've seen that one. I'm like, man, that one looks sweet.
Yeah, so they use a cool like technology to make that. Normally it's like they just use a foil. This is like a whole different machine that's like a full color disc.
It's like printed onto
on
the
yeah,
plastic.
exactly, which is really cool. It's a process that like you can tell this is fully printed on there. Normally it's just a foil, the machine that like foils the stamp.
Yeah.
But this, is a lot more intricate. And so that's really cool. That's awesome. Thanks for getting that. That's really cool.
Man. I figured maybe I can get you to sign it before we leave. Add it up here to the collectible collection.
Cool. Yeah, I would love to do that. I'll give you one too before I leave as well.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah, and this is a driver.
I'll give it to my buddy Chuck since he.
Oh, cool.
Since he
perfect.
set it up.
Yeah. Awesome. Good deal.
Cool. So, what do you think you would be doing if you never discovered the sport?
That's tough, man. I went to in high school I went to the vocational school. I went just like as like a backup plan, I guess. Like I just did like an HVAC type thing.
Okay.
So that was kind of like my backup plan, and I'm thankful I don't have to do that. As much as it's good that I have that knowledge. But yeah, I just I've always been the type of person where it was baseball, and I was younger. I was all in on baseball. I wanted to be go to the big leagues and the all American dream.
Right.
And then it was a funny story because I like when I was younger and like really just getting into high school, like 9th, 10th grade, I was going to tryouts and I just got into disc golf, and I was like, You know what? I want to play disc golf. I want to, go on tour and try to really make it from a low level pro, like, and then work my way up from there. And so obviously it took a lot of time. So you couldn't really do both. For me being all in, it's either all in with baseball or all in with disc golf. So I'm like thinking about like, how can I, my dad was like pushing me into like, you got to go to high school, work your way up and then go to college and then hopefully,
Right.
go on from there. And so for me, I had tryouts for the high school, and I botched the tryouts. I was like striking out on purpose and like whiffing ground balls. Like I played like shortstop when I wasn't pitching, and so I like just looked like crap in the tryout just because I didn't want to make the team because I wanted to go play disc golf, which is crazy to think about now because it's like obviously I had the potential to I feel like I was athletic and I had the drive enough to where I could potentially have made a run at making the big leagues.
Yeah.
But I transferred that passion into disc golf. It's just funny how I botched the tryouts and then opened up all these other opportunities in the disc golf world that I would have had.
It paid off.
Yeah, exactly. And then the first couple of years, I think my dad kind of was suspicious, like because he knew I was way good enough to make the team, and he was wondering like, why didn't you make the team? You're way better than all these other kids,
Yeah.
But like to come to find out, I was just had a horrible tryout.
So you've had some setbacks. In life and sport with Lyme disease. Can you briefly cover that and kind of how that's affected your ability to play?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Lyme disease is a tough thing. I don't know if you guys most of your followers are know about it, but yeah, in disc golf it's really prevalent because we're playing in long grass, bushes, trees. That's our rough, and so we're sometimes going in there and chasing our disc in there or throwing a bad shot in the trees or wherever. And so there's a lot of ticks. And so that's been, I got bit by a tick. It was actually when I was in Europe.
Wow.
So we have the European Open in Europe. And we also do like a Ryder Cup, but we call it the President's Cup, which is U.S. versus Europe, which is always cool. Yeah. So we're doing that this year, actually. It's in Europe.
So the top U.S. guys?
Top U.S. guys play against the top European guys. And it's like a really cool format. And there's top two in the world females for Europe and top two females for the U.S.
Okay.
And then they all battle against each other, and there's all different seedings and stuff, so it's super cool. But anyways, 2019 is when I got the tick, and yeah, it was rough. I was like, I think at that time I was like second in the world. So I've for the past I would say 4 or 5 years I've been either first in the world or second, just right there battling and just trying to maintain. But when I got that, it really took me out. It's going from in shape, working out, stretching, and just eating right, doing all the right things, and then get taken out by that. It was just pretty devastating. You always hear about these NFL guys and NBA guys that like get to the top of their sport and then they they fall off and they fall into like depression and drugs and whatever it may be, and I totally feel for them because it's like you go through a deep dark hole when you're not doing what you feel like you should be doing, and you just offer so much value to a team, and then all of a sudden you're not in that spot, and then you can really fall into this, whether it's drugs, depression, whatever it is. That's just the outlet that they choose because there's a hole there, and they feel like they're not doing what they deserve,
right,
or they should be doing. And so I kind of felt like that. I felt kind of like worthless. Like, hey, I'm not out there doing what I should be doing. I'm a top player in the world, and I'm sitting here on the couch. Lyme disease attacked my joints to the point where I couldn't even move off the couch.
Wow.
And couldn't, let alone even try to throw a disc. I couldn't even walk. Barely had to have a walker, and so it was just super depressing. And I worked with a nutritionist and really got my health back. I had to miss about half a season, and then worked my way back. And I'm still battling it here and there, but I think my overall health has gotten so good that my immune system and everything is so healthy that I'm able to fight it off.
And you first came back and you got second place, right?
Yeah. So yeah,
it's just a little rust to the second place. That's it.
Yeah. So I was off for like this. So like my first tournament back after like a month off was 2 weeks ago in Minnesota, and I got second place. I almost I was battling for the win on the final day and made a push. Was making some nice long putts and really made a good run at the win. And I was super happy to do that because I was still having like a little knee flare up from the Lyme. And so it was just something to where sometimes you got to play through injuries.
Man, that's got to be tough to come back like after all that time off and to get second place. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is. I'm pumped to be back doing what I do. It's awesome, and I guess if you can take a positive from it, you never take anything for granted after that.
Yep. So you've been Male of the Year, Rookie of the Year. You're 2-time world champ. what's next for you? Are you like, are you chasing Brady, or is it just more titles, or what?
Yeah, so for us, yeah, it's all about, player of the year. That's, I've won four times player of the year. That's super amazing. I'm super, proud of that, because our sport is obviously all about consistency and maintaining, number one player in the world and world champion. That's a huge title to have as well. But if you're a player of the year, that means cumulatively throughout the whole season, you finish the best. Even if you obviously were, as a top athlete, I'm trying to win every tournament I play, but I'm also trying to have consistent finishes in the top 5 to be able to accumulate points to win player of the year. I mean, you're
Right.
the best player and the most consistent player of that season.
Right.
And so that's what people remember. They remember the Tom Brady won, what is he, 6 or 7 titles now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you remember,
6.
So for disc golf, it may be like, hey, Ricky won 4 player of the years. He won 4 player of the year titles. He won 2 world titles, hopefully add a couple more by the time my career's over. And so that's the kind of stuff in any sport, that's what you thrive for. And, you dedicate your life to where you could put yourself in that spot to have a chance to win those tournaments and really make a legacy for yourself and, look back and say, I'm thankful for everything I did for my brand and everything I did for the sport while I was chasing the dream,
There you go.
Yeah.
So before I let you go, I want to be respectful of your time, of course. Can you tell us, what's it going to be like for you at the LWS Open? What's the first place prize, and kind of what you're going to do there, your strategy, because this will come out after, I believe.
Yeah. So like I said, it's a challenging course, and we start Friday. It's gonna be a grind for sure. I mean, the course is very mentally challenging just because of how tough it is. There's a lot of tough holes out there, and you really have to shape your shots. There's a lot of trees you have to shape your shots around. If you throw bad shots, you can really get punished. And so it's gonna be a long weekend, but I'm excited to be back playing and feeding off the energy of the fans. I think that's another aspect to our sport that obviously we played through most of the pandemic. We were able to play tournaments, but most of the time it was without crowds, and it's not as fun. When you're playing on the final day on the feature card, on the lead card, you're making the putt and the crowd goes crazy. It's it's equivalent to throwing a touchdown pass in the fourth quarter. So that's kind of like we thrive off of that kind of stuff, the energy from the crowd, and so I'm pumped to be back here, and they have a great arena for us. I mean, for us, the disc golfers, the arena is the course, and so you set up stands and you set up areas for spectators to watch, and us athletes are there to entertain and throw great shots and entertain people. So I'm excited for this weekend to go out there and entertain people, do what I do. Play well, and hopefully have a chance to win come Sunday. I mean, the tournament obviously Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but you play to have a chance to win on Sunday, and just like golf, and so it's the same kind of thing. I'm hoping to be within a couple strokes of the lead and try to make a push.
There you go. Have they released the prize amounts for the?
Yeah, so normally, usually so it's an Elite Series event, which they have a point system, kind of like I'd say like the FedEx Cup type of thing, so that can determine player of the year. So based on how many finishes in the top 5 and top 10 and how many wins you get, you basically get points throughout the season. And then they have the Pro Tour finale, which was actually on ESPN last year and 2 years ago. So we've had some big events broadcast on big networks. So it's the big networks are starting to take note of it and how much the sport's growing and all that. So I think it's like 5,000 or 10,000 for the winner, somewhere in that range. And then a lot of the players will get and then but most of the money in our sport now is through disc sales, sponsors, all
social media.
Yeah, social media. So it's all a culmination. Like if you win, you're obviously everyone loves a winner. They're people are gonna be, oh Ricky, I want to get the putter that Ricky used to hit that putt on hole 15 to get the win. So that's the kind of stuff fans want to feel associated with their player if he wins. So that's kind of like
it's
the payout's great and everything, but it's more about your sponsors are happy, you're selling more discs and you're getting more eyes, and so that's all of where you can also capitalize from a monetary standpoint, as opposed to just saying, oh yeah, Ricky won the tournament, you won 10 grand or whatever. You're like, yeah, that's great, but like it's all the side stuff too with your sponsors and like I said, selling discs and feeling gaining a lot of fans because they're out there like cheering you on and so it's all that stuff that all in turn makes your brand bigger, makes more eyes on the sport and gets more people like hyped on playing.
Right. So I have to ask you before you go. You're an Ohio boy, So Cleveland Browns or Cincinnati Bengals?
Dude, it's the Browns. I know, I hate to say it, which is no threat to you guys.
We'll remember that come playoffs.
You will.
I don't know if you guys will be in the playoffs. We'll
I don't know. We got about 3 quarterbacks in the headlines right now. You got Brissett and Baker and Deshaun. Who knows what's gonna happen? Yeah,
it'll be interesting to say.
Yes, it will. But yeah, so I've always been Browns and Indian or Guardians now, but
Okay.
I've always been Cleveland sports, just because that was the hometown team. I was always when I was younger, I was always Omar Vizquel. That was my guy.
Okay.
Do you remember him?
No.
Omar Vizquel. He was like a shortstop for the Indians back in like the Jim Thome and those
okay.
days.
Yeah.
Kenny Lofton.
90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So before we go, what's your socials? Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Yeah. So Saki Bomb, that Ricky Saki Bomb Wysocki, that's my YouTube channel. Saki
Okay.
Bomb's my nickname.
Okay.
And then Saki Bomb 13 on Twitter and Instagram. That's where I'm most prevalent. And
Okay.
then Facebook, you can just type in Ricky Saki Bomb Wysocki as well.
Okay.
And come take it. Some of your followers come over and check out the disc golf world and hopefully follow me and
Awesome.
see how I do at my local tournament here.
So how'd Saki Bomb come about?
Yeah, no, thanks for asking. So when I was in Ohio, it was funny because my last name's obviously Wysocki, and I was
Right.
playing the local course, and all the locals at the course that I played with like watched me throw, and they're like, "Dang, Wysocki can bomb." And then so it turned into like Saki Bomb, and then it's kind of like a play on words because the Saki Bomb that you pound and you drink,
Yeah.
like that's a Saki Bomb. But it's spelled a little different. It's SOCKIBOMB instead of SAKE.
Okay.
And like a sake bomb, like SAKE bomb would be like the one you pound and you drink.
Yeah.
And then so SOCKIBOMB is how you spell it. So sake
Okay.
bomb, that's kind of been my nickname. It's funny. A cool story about that is I turned 21 in Japan when I was there for a tournament, and then I got to take some sake bombs. And so I got that on video and I posted that. That was a cool moment. But yeah, turned 21 in Japan and got to do that. That was
That's
really cool.
sweet.
Yeah.
So, well, good luck this weekend at the LWS Open, Idlewild. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And, of course, everybody follow Ricky at Saki Bomb on his socials and check out dynamicdisc.com, right?
Perfect. Yeah.
Awesome. So, everybody in the comments below, please give it up for Ricky Wysocki.
Thanks, guys.